Yo, 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 yo. What's up, all you burners, stoners, and potheads out there? This is Weedman 420 with the Weedman 420 Chronicles. How are all you vipers doing out there? Mrs. Weedman.
Mr. Weedman.
How the hell are you?
Fantastic.
Fantastic. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Hey, everybody. I want to thank everybody who joined in on our 100th episode, the last one. I'm very thankful. We had a great time with everybody who joined us on Skype, everybody who joined us on Instagram. We're going to do some more of those in the future. It was a lot of fun. We learned a lot. And yeah, thank you, everybody, for participating and having some fun with us and having our smoke session, joining us on our 100th episode. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And we will do that again soon. And not on the 200th episode, but a little closer.
Yeah.
What do you think, Ms. Weedman? Kind of fun, right?
It was fun.
Yeah.
And for those who joined, you were good sports, and we really appreciate all of your time that you spent with us. And we had a lot of people on Instagram Live, too.
Yes.
We were trying to segue them over to Skype, but they weren't brave enough.
Yeah, we need you guys to join us on Skype next time.
So next time, we're going to work out some kinks and make it more fluid, and we're going to have a good time with it.
Yes. So thank you for joining us on our 100th episode, everybody, and thanks for listening. We appreciate everybody around the world. Love you, love you, love you all out there. Hopefully you're smoking big fat doinks while you're listening to the show. Mrs. Weedman, we had a great Sunday.
We did.
And we went to an underground cannabis party, which was awesome. It was a tea party, a tea cannabis party, right?
High tea.
High tea, and we were high. We got to drink some canned beverages, and it is Pride Month, and they are an LGBTQ-owned brand.
So that's can with two N's.
Two N's, C-A-N-N.
They're infused. They're like really nice, like a craft cocktail. There's no alcohol in them, but
None.
they're like just very nice ingredients, lavender, ginger, just neat, interesting combinations. And they're infused with THC. I think like 2.5 or 5 milligrams.
Yeah, it's 2.5 milligrams
Yeah.
or 5 milligrams, depending on what the style you buy. Most of them are like a CBD THC blend, like 2.5 to like 5 in CBD. So, but they're good. They're tasty. Love it over ice, or if not, just right out of the can. Get a nice little tingling feeling from them. Nothing too crazy. You gotta drink two, but they're great. They're small little cans. But it is Pride Month, so happy Pride Month out there, everybody. And we throw the shout out to Can because they're LGBTQ owned. So support them. They are in Illinois. I know that for sure. I know they're in California. They're in Massachusetts. They're in Rhode Island. They're in Nevada. And like I said, they're in Illinois. So support an LGBTQ business. And happy Pride Month, everybody out there in the world. Mrs. Weedman, though, let's go back to the high tea story.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of fun. We got to drink some infused tea and non-infused tea, which was a lot of fun. We got to smoke or see a lot of people smoking. We actually didn't smoke. It was kind of weird.
Well, this was our first time.
We ate edibles.
Right. And we didn't know what to expect, and we didn't know how it all worked. So
Right.
we didn't bring anything with.
Yeah.
There were people there that had like their full like little cannabis briefcases.
Yes.
Like they were decked out. They were.
Yes.
They couldn't even open their eyes. They were. I mean, it was a cloud. It was. Some people were.
I was
having a really
high.
good time.
I got contact high. There's no doubt about it. I was high. I mean, I remember I told you, I looked over, I'm like, besides drinking the infused tea, I did take a mint before I walked in. I had my pen on me, but we actually didn't smoke flower. And the thing that upset me was there was somebody downstairs that was a cannabis flower bar that we missed until we were walking out.
Yeah.
But we went and talked to them, and they had 8 different strains, and they explained all 8 strains, and you got to smell them and look at them through a magnifying glass with a light. And it was, I wish we would have caught them on the way in.
She said it was all home grow.
Yeah, all home grow.
Different suppliers.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. And you could have bought pre-rolls, or you could have bought little grams, and they did the pre-rolls right there for you. They stuffed them for you. And so we got there. It was while we were walking out, they were in the back of the room, so we caught them. And very nice couple.
I don't know if they were a couple.
Yeah.
Nice business.
Yes, nice business.
Nice owners.
Very great people to talk to. They knew a lot about their strains that they purchased, and they were rolling up for people. And the funny thing about this, though, we picked out 2 strains for them to stuff in pre-rolls, and we wanted to smoke them at the show. I'm going to tell you about one in a second here. But Mrs. Weedman, they were doing a contest, and you can win 2 grams of weed, right? But you had to do what, Mrs. Weedman, to win that contest? And you were one of 4 people that won. It was all women that won, that they told me. So it was pretty
we have
awesome.
Good noses.
Yes.
We have good
Follow
noses.
your nose. It always knows.
So it was cute. She had a really nice little setup. She had an iPad that had her menu on it and pricing and all of her strains. She had her list of 8 strains, and then she had a cute little bar set up with little glass mason jars that were all labeled 1 through 8. They, obviously were in tune with her menu. So if you wanted to smell what there were a couple different gelatos, right? Mm-hmm. So number 1 was a gelato. So then you could pick up the little jar, and then she handed you a little, like a jeweler's loop that had a light on it, a magnifying glass, so you could look at the bud and get a feel for it. You could have a good sniff and a whiff, and then decide what you wanted to buy. So
but
then,
hold on, so they had 2 canisters off to the side, right? That were the strains,
yeah,
right?
There were 8 jars,
right?
1 for each strain. They were all numbered that you could look at to buy. The contest was that she had 2 jars off to the side labeled number 1 and 2. You could smell them only 1 time each. You could smell the 8 jars of all the strains any number of times you want. You could look at them as much as you want, but the 2 that you had to identify, you could only look at and smell once.
You only get 1 sniffer.
Yeah, and in any order that you want. So I'm like, game on. I want to try this. I really want to try it. So I looked at number 1. I looked at it real closely. I smelled it. And I know as a woman, when you go perfume shopping or candle shopping, the more you smell, the less you smell. Everything starts to smell the same, right? That's why they have espresso beans out there, so you can smell them in between to clear your palate, clear your nose. It doesn't always work, though. So I knew that if I went to this 1 and 2 and then smelled the jars back and forth, I'd lose. So I decided I was going to do more of a visual inspection. So I smelled what was in jar 1, and then I looked at it really closely. And then I got through the first few jars, and boom, I'm like, this is it. I know it. And then I didn't even smell that one to make sure it was the right smell. I just knew by looking at it, it was the right one. I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to confuse myself. I'm not going any further. I think number 1 is strain number 2. Then I picked up sample number 2, did the same thing, and I got to jar number 4. I'm like, this is it. I'm sticking with it.
Yeah, you didn't even go past
so I was
that.
like, number 1 is strain number 2, and number 2 is strain number 4. And she's like, wait, what? I'm like, it's 2 and 4. And she's like, yeah, it is.
She looked at a piece of paper and you got it right.
Yes.
You won us 2 grams of weed.
I don't win anything. So I was patting myself on the back. I'm like,
I was patting you on your back. I was like,
I was so
actually,
impressed.
all the people around the table were highly, highly impressed that you nailed it and didn't even make it past.
I didn't even go past those jars.
No.
I knew.
You knew right away.
I had no hesitation about it.
Fucking
it was cool.
Awesome.
It was fun.
I'm glad we got.
But then I was like, in retrospect, I wish we had these joints before we spent our time upstairs, because now we were on our way out the door.
Right.
And I really wanted to go back upstairs and get baked with everybody. It was such a nice vibe. I have to tell you, it was just so cool to be in this really fun public space, public, private. It's kind of like a club, but just a really cute venue. Lots of sunlight and natural light coming in, and smoke clouds everywhere. Super chill crowd, friendly.
Great
and
DJ.
It was just super cool.
Great
they had a photographer
DJ.
walking around. They had a DJ going. They had a bartender. It was really cool.
Yeah, it was cool. It was awesome.
It was a fun experience. So if you ever get an invite to an underground weed event, I highly suggest going.
Yep.
Pretty cool.
It was awesome.
And I can't wait till the day that those are not illegal.
Yeah.
Because
they
why shouldn't you be able to gather and smoke?
They shouldn't be illegal. It was so much fun.
It was so cool.
Being with the cannabis community and having some great talks and sharing some great stories and getting to have some great mock cocktails and some great tea that was infused. It was awesome. And I had a lot of fun.
I did too.
And we need to see more of that out there. And the cities and the states around this world need to let that kind of stuff happen. It's the only way we're going to progress. It's the only way we're going to teach people that cannabis isn't bad, that cannabis isn't the devil's lettuce and reefer madness. And yes, I'm so for that. And it was so much fun getting to experience that. I love experiences. And that was something I will never forget because it was awesome, especially you winning.
That was the icing on the cake.
Yes. So we're gonna smoke a strain from what we bought. We bought 2 different strains and then we won one. So we're gonna have some fun stuff to smoke the next couple shows. So the first one we're smoking, and Ms. Weedman's gonna light up while I read about it, is called Greasy Runts. And it's 70% indica, 30% sativa. Greasy Runts is an indica dominant hybrid strain created through crossing the powerful runts and Greasy Monkey strains. If you're on the hunt for a great classic indica with an amazing flavor too, you found it with Greasy Runts. This bud backs a mouth-watering, sugary cherry berry candy flavor with hints of fresh tropical citrus upon exhale. The aroma is very similar with the sweet, fruity berry overtone, accented by sour tropical citrus and spicy earthiness too. The Greasy Runs High hits you a few minutes after your final exhale. Ooh. Filling your brain almost immediately with an expensive sense of lifted happiness and creativity. Ooh, Mrs. Weedman, sounds like your kind of strain.
Yeah.
You'll find your mind fading in and out of focus as you fall further and further into this blissful state. This is going to be a great show. A relaxing body high accompanies this heady lift, filling your physical form with light heaviness that is soothing and calming at the same time. The combination can turn sedative at times, so mind your dosage. If you have anything to get done, combined with a super high 20% plus average THC level, these effects make Greasy Monkeys a great choice for treating those suffering from conditions such as depression, chronic stress, insomnia, nausea, or appetite loss. Appetite loss. This bud has grape-shaped dark olive green nugs, which they were, with dark purple undertones, which they were, because I remember looking at that strain, vivid red-orange hairs, and a coating of frosty, chunky white crystal trichomes. Some of the effects, you're just hitting that thing like crazy.
I'm trying to get one good hit.
It's very tight. It's very tightly stuffed.
He stuffed that thing. Yeah. It's tasty.
Effects. We're smoking it out of. They rolled it in a blazy, stuffed it in a blazy Susan too. You like that?
Packed it tight.
Yeah, he did pack it.
Now
pretty
it's
tight.
lit.
It's lit. Good. Effects are creative, happy, hungry, relaxing, sleepy, uplifting. Relief symptoms of appetite loss, depression, insomnia, nausea, and stress. Flavors are like berry, candy, citrus, fruity, soury, sugary, or sweet. Some of the aromas are candy, earthy, fruity, spicy, sweet, and tropical. So that is Greasy Runts. So I'm looking forward to hitting this. Well, Mrs. Weedman talks a little bit.
I want to keep smoking more of it, but it took about 4 hits to get that thing lit solid. I'm probably going to be regretting that in about 10 minutes. But it was really tasty. I never would have identified cannabis as having a cherry flavor, but I will say that does not have like a piney taste. It doesn't have a citrusy taste. I didn't taste lemons or anything like that. I tasted possibly like a cherry, sweet.
Right.
Not super earthy. It's real light.
A very sweet flavor
nice.
to it. And I have a terrible palate as it is, so.
That was good. I'm not going to smoke more of it.
I ripped that thing pretty big.
Yeah, you did.
we'll see how this show goes.
Bear with us, people. We may be half asleep by halfway through the show. We'll try not. I like the description of that strain, though.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. I go on, Leafly sometimes, Weed Maps, and some other, but the best site I've found for researching cannabis, for strains, like with really good descriptions, is Allbud. It's allbud.com. And I think I might have mentioned that before, but I really like that website. I find about 85% of all the strains that we smoke on here. So sometimes I might find variants of that strain we're smoking, but it's a really, really actually good site to research your weed that you're smoking if you want to know more about it. Same thing with Leafly. Leafly's good too, but I like Allbud. It's really nice. So, Mrs. Weedman?
Yeah.
You ready to start the show?
Let's start.
Let's do this. High THC weed, a new form of reefer madness, or is it worth the panic? Many within the industry have claimed that proof backing the widespread risk of high THC levels are scant and more research needs to be done. With the legislation of cannabis at the federal level set to be brought forward in the Senate, cannabis legalized states are now undergoing new research on the risk linked with high-potency cannabis products. Among questions being asked is a possible link between high-potency products and psychosis. These latest high-potency cannabis products circulating in the market are commonly called shatter or wax, and there's more than just shatter and wax. We've talked about this, but this is what the article says, and are known to have THC levels as high as 85 to 90%. Researchers via a comparison affirmed that the THC levels in a usual joint decades ago were approximately 5%. I'm going to keep on saying that. They keep on comparing cannabis of yesteryear, of the 60s and 70s and 80s, to the weed today, and we all know it's not your weed Cadillac anymore, okay? You're in a Lamborghini nowadays, and they have to stop comparing that 5% because now people are used to this high THC because that's what we've been smoking. probably since the 90s, where weed might have been like 15-20%, maybe even more on the West Coast. But weed I was getting in the Southeast, probably about that level. When it was the grow in the home grow in the houses and stuff like that, but probably, of course, coming from the stuff that you were getting from the traditional market, you didn't know if it was Mexican regs or if it was coming from Jamaica, if it was coming from across the sea. You didn't know the level here, but they have to stop talking about 5%. 5%'s been done for years. People are used to now smoking high potency cannabis. They're used to people that are getting into cannabis. Of course, we need to teach them. We need to educate them. They need to start with low levels. But people that have been smoking cannabis for a long time, the high THC levels is part of their endocannabinoid system. They're used to it. So let's go a little further. Colorado and Washington are now looking to include potency caps in their legislation. During the forum held in January, Dr. Nora Volkov, the director of the NIDA, expressed her concerns that young adults are increasingly consuming high-potency cannabis. Volkov affirmed that she was worried about the negative effects of high THC concentration on mental health. She noted that the higher the THC levels, the higher the chances of psychosis. While the research is still ongoing, remember that the research is still ongoing. Volkov affirmed that another question waiting to be answered is if such psychosis can cause permanent schizophrenia. I just read an article, too, that only 10% of people get truly addicted to cannabis that use it. Only 10% get addicted to it. Like, truly, like, where they can't live without it.
So dependent.
Yes. I didn't fully read all of the article, but that's what the part of it that I read. So, Bethany Moore, during the interview with NBC News, asserted that the best way forward is to tackle these concerns through adequate labeling and testing. Apart from that, she believes states should only sell cannabis via licensed dispensaries to fully informed and legal adults. By selling cannabis only via legal dispensaries, Bethany claimed the activities of the illicit cannabis market will gradually fade. Let's call it the traditional market there, Bethany. According to several public experts, proponents of the cannabis industry are responsible for the problem of high-potency cannabis products now flooding the market. This is because most industry backers were only focused on legalizing cannabis without considering a market boom in the cannabis concentrates. Let me tell you something, folks. Before weed went legal in the Midwest, cannabis went legal, I knew about shatter. I knew about wax back in like 2010, 2008. I was hearing about this and seeing it here that people were making in their garages. Okay, so it's not that it's a new product. Okay, it's only new to maybe people that don't know about it. All right. In fact, a research scientist, Dr. Beatrice Carlene, affirmed that they were not fully informed in 2012 before voting on the bill. She believes a lot of people who voted for cannabis plant and nothing else. In 2020, Carlene led a research team that states of Washington to study high-potency cannabis. Upon research, the team concluded that high-potency cannabis can have prolonged negative impacts on mental health. Is that true? I don't know. I think more tests need to be done. This is the article. Carlina claimed that while there's better understanding of cannabis and its medical benefits, high-potency cannabis is just a different ballgame. She compared the situation to strawberry icing marketing. She argued that while strawberries are healthy fruits, strawberry icing is not healthy. Kind of funny. Presently, the high-potency cannabis circulating on the market is legal for purchase for adults above the age of 21. However, teens have been able to easily access to these products. Will they buy it on the traditional market? So stop your kids from going to get it. That's all I can tell you. Efforts of state legislative. The bill for cannabis legalization at the federal level has been introduced to the House, but while play out, many now look forward to the promise Chuck Schumer, the Senate Majority Leader, had made earlier promise on the 22nd of April that he would introduce another version of the Senate to come. Meanwhile, things are moving fast in Colorado thanks to several doctors' testimonies last year about the increasing cases of psychotic episodes linked to cannabis concentrates. Do you have those doctors? Are they testing patients? Are they inside a facility getting tested every day are they doing a year study on multiple patients? I don't know. So I don't really truly believe those doctors that and their testimonies. To address the situation, a bill was unanimously passed to curb access to high-potency cannabis concentrates. What about the people that actually need the high-potency? Cancer patients, would you rather them take high opioids that's comatosing them, or being able to take a high cannabis concentrate at 85, 90% and still be able to function? Mm-hmm. Okay? Because when you give somebody that high-potency opioids, they ain't moving. You're giving them morphine, they ain't moving. You give them high-potency cannabis, I know people that could do 85% dabs, 90% dabs, and work and do whatever they want on it. It makes what they need for their body. It's the potency they need for their body. Okay? A section of the legislation also charged the Medical School of Colorado University to carry out a full review of over 800 scientific articles. Kind of funny. I thought cannabis wasn't tested in the United States. I thought they couldn't do any kind of articles or anything like that. So there's 800 articles, scientific articles now. It's federally legal, right? Illegal. So you can't. So they never got funded to do testing. So where are these 800 articles from? I'm just busting balls.
Right.
So the articles are said to cover the effects of high potency cannabis, concentrating on both mental and physical health. Really? 800 scientific articles. I'm dumbfounded. The report is said to be due come July. I want to read that. Heading the team is Dr. John Samet, who is also in charge of the project. In his words, he affirmed the study won't be easy. One given there's a lot of messy data to organize from the studies whose authors use different methods or measurements. Okay, once you start your own study and then don't worry about what the rest said. However, he shared his anticipation of creating the latest public research database for the state. In the state of Washington, researchers have set up further after completing a 6-month review executed by 11 scientists in 2020. The research revealed that THC has a dose response. This implies that a more THC one consumes, the higher the negative impact on mental and physical health. This research kicked off immediately after sales of THC concentrate increased from 9% to 35% between 2014 and 2020. The research also revealed that young adults were most vulnerable to the side effects in getting addicted to the high THC concentrations. They then concluded that there's a need for more police declarations and considerations to support public well-being at a general health. Carlini, who led the Washington research, affirmed that other states looking for guidance have also reached out to her. She added that the initial mistakes are glaring for all those seeing, and people are ready to learn from their mistakes. Researchers from both sides states are now keeping in touch and consulting each other when necessary. Regarding Seattle research, are looking for a new way to curb access to THC concentrates. Approaches under evaluation include tax-established high potency levels and cap potency, which is in New York and Illinois. The research team in Washington is considering warning labels like those employed in Canada. The warning label explicitly states that the risk of high THC levels to mental health. The Washington research team's coming report due at the end of the year. So in conclusion, as it stands, Vermont is the only state that placed a potency cap on legal recreational cannabis. Meanwhile, an attempt at such has failed woefully in Massachusetts and South Dakota. Attempts at a long-lasting potency cap have proven difficult to strong pushbacks from cannabis industry. Many within the industry have claimed that proof backing the widespread risk of THC levels are scant and more research needs to be done. However, Carlini has stood by her team and the research they executed, saying she and her team stand by the conclusions they reached. The higher the THC levels of cannabis, the higher the chances of dangerous side effects. Well, I don't know about that. So I don't agree. But I had to read that article because there is a lot of people trying to get THC levels. They're fighting for the high THC levels to go down, and I don't agree with it. There's people out there who need that kind of medicine. There's people that need that higher dosage or like that higher dosage.
Well, I mean, if everything is labeled and you know what you're buying, you have to buy it through a dispensary, so it's semi-controlled anyway. They can control THC levels that way.
Right.
If you have a medical card, you can buy up to whatever. Right?
Right.
And even recreational, why can't you? You just have to be knowledgeable about what you're buying.
Here's the thing. There's alcohol out there at
regulate
152% proof.
Well, some states outlaw Everclear.
Yeah.
And grain alcohol.
But you can get it in Illinois.
Right.
You can get 150 proof.
And that'll actually kill you.
Right.
The marijuana won't.
Right.
I said marijuana.
You did. Marijuana on two. So, but I know people out there that love to dab, love concentrates.
I've never tried that. You've tried it.
Oh, I do like it. It just makes me geeky, but I do like it. So, I mean, I want to buy that Zenko thing, and I want you to experience it through that. So, or maybe Zenko will send us one, and we could do it on the show with that.
That'd be fun.
Be dope. Zenko, if you're listening, send us one, or come visit the Weedman 420 Chronicles, and let's have a sesh together. It'd be even better. So, Gen Z, we have a child or a kid or a young woman that's a Gen Zer. O-Dog, right?
Yeah, O-Dog is a Gen Z.
She's a Gen Zer. How much weed do they buy?
Well, I've got an article about how much weed Gen Z buys and what it means for the industry. There's no denying that 420 is the biggest day for cannabis sales and consumption across the U.S. Every year sees an increase in revenue, especially as legalization continues to sweep across the country, and 2022 was no exception. Store sales were up 148% over previous Wednesdays. according to data company Headset, with edibles and beverages trending over flower. And who was buying all of the cannabis consumables? Gen Z, who's now old enough, some of them, to legally buy weed. As the industry grows and changes, so does its customer base, one generation at a time. As Gen Z, or those born between the years of 1997 and 2012, comes of age, they're quickly embracing cannabis and driving trends, and the industry is evolving to meet that demand. Headset looked at how this age bracket shopped on 420 this year, from product preferences to basket sizes. According to their recent report, Gen Z customers are the most engaged buyers. Women in this age bracket bought 25% more product, and men bought 35% more product than in previous weeks. What's flying off the shelves? Beverages had the biggest increase, at least 5 times more than a typical Wednesday, with edibles and pre-rolls on the higher side as well. If these stats hold any bearing on where the market is heading, vape pens are out. Or it could just mean that customers 25 and younger were looking more for celebratory party supplies versus their usual haul. Still, numbers like this could be useful to retailers looking to draw this group as a repeat customer base. Maybe it's time to stock up on more edibles, single-serve items, as this group continues to age into recreational cannabis use. Pretty cool.
Yeah, Gen Z. Beverages. That right now industry is starting to grow real quick, and a lot of companies are starting to come out with some beverages, and some are it's going to be a big industry. I mean,
I think so.
I think once cannabis is federally legal and people are able to serve cannabis in a bar.
Oh my gosh! Think of all the craft cocktails infused, no alcohol,
but just even
cannabis.
Like you'll see a cooler. Instead of beer, it'll be cannabis drinks.
Right.
5 milligrams. That might be the only dosage they're allowed to sell at a bar, which I think is dope.
That's all you need.
Right. Or 2.5.
So you can have a few.
Or 10.
Yeah.
But I would rather go to a bar and drink 4 2.5, like all the way up to 20 milligrams, rather being at a bar or a concert and have that kind of fun than being punch drunk and puking in a garbage pail because I drank too much.
Totally.
You know? So I think it's awesome. So go Gen Z. Free the plant, Gen Z. Only you can do it. With so many pre-roll joints available on the market, I like a good pre-roll. I do. I'll admit it. If it's good flower, I like a good pre-roll. I like the infused pre-rolls. They're fun too if you really want to get fucking blazed. They're fun too. But how do you choose one that's right for you? And this article we're reading it from says they got you. They got you, yo. I want to smoke some more of that weed.
Do you?
Yeah, I'm not high enough.
Well, you better smoke some more.
So are you?
Oh. The way I'm talking, I think I'm high, but I'll light it up for you.
Stick with us, folks.
I'll have some more.
And here's why: because we didn't do our normal episode for our 100th episode, so we got a lot to catch up on and a lot to have fun with you with. So stick with us, all right? We're gonna smoke a little more, talk about why pre-rolls, because we're smoking a pre-roll. He rolled this thing fucking really tight. I mean, this thing was fucking stuffed. I mean, it was 2 grams, wasn't it?
There was 2 grams and 2 joints.
That's pretty good. So they're each a gram joint. And we actually got a little extra in the tube, too. So maybe it gave us a little more, which is nice.
Good stuff.
I like pre-rolls. I like pre-rolls on the go. I mean, even though I roll my own pre-rolls and stuff them and keep them in a jar or something like that, or 8 decades jar, and grab and go, pre-rolls are fun. So whether you're out and about and you want to stop at a dispensary and get a pre-roll, if you're going to a show and you don't have anything on you or you don't have your own stuff at home, get a pre-roll. You know, so whether you're new to the world of cannabis or you just want to try something new, pre-rolls are awesome. Here's another reason why I like pre-rolls, because if there's a strain out there you don't know about, never tried, and you don't want to buy an eighth, or you don't want to buy you just want to try it, and if you do like it, you sample it and you like it, then you can go back to that dispensary and get an eighth of it or an ounce of it or a quarter of it, whatever you buy. So these are sold individually or by packs. I do like a pack of them too, so those are fun also. But most importantly, they make it much easier, simpler to enjoy a good smoke. Pre-rolls are amazing for many reasons. They are convenient to consume, which are the perfect for the beginners. But it's also no surprise that even seasoned cannabis users love them too. Haha, I just said that. You save time when consuming them too. Plus, they come in a wide array of sizes and strains to choose from. They also come in various price ranges, from affordable and budget-friendly to high-end, even luxurious. Yeah, I've seen pre-rolls go pretty expensive and pretty cheap, too. With so many pre-roll joints available on the market, how do you choose what's right for you? Type of pre-roll. Pre-rolls may be made from flower, shake, or a mixture of both. Shake is basically small bits of cannabis flower that has fallen off the bud. These are what you find on the floors of cannabis dispensaries or the mason jars that you hold your bud. Some manufacturers make pre-rolls out of the shake taken from the variety of strains. They then automate the joint making process with machines, resulting in the perfect cones to smoke. But just because a cone is filled and shake doesn't mean that the quality is bad. You just have to make sure that the shake doesn't contain any leaves or stems. Buy from a reputable manufacturer. Not only will you have peace of mind that you know exactly what went into each cone, but reputable cannabis manufacturers will be completely transparent and provide you with information on how they grow or process their cannabis. If organic cannabis is important to you, then seek those out. When we were out in Seattle, we bought the lazy bee or the bee.
Yes.
The honeybee or the lazy bee, and they were all organic, and those were great.
It was like grown in an outdoor hoop or something.
Yeah, those were great. Those were really good. It all boils down to personal preference, but if you're shelling out serious dough on luxury pre-rolls, the smart thing to do is to look out for those that are worth spending on. This usually means companies that provide a COA, Certificate of Analysis. Strains. Check out the strains in the pre-roll. Each cannabis strain has its own profile. It's effects, but again, to boil down on your personal preference. Some are uplifting, energizing, want to put you to sleep, whatever you want. Ask your bud tender. They will. When we went to Seattle another time, we had that wonderful bud tender at the Reef that really went through her pre-rolls for us. She was awesome. She was knowledgeable. So, man, don't be afraid to ask your bud tender. And then if you can smell it, if you're allowed to smell a pre-roll, use your nose because it always knows. Ask Mrs. Weedman. She won using her nose and her eyes and her ears and listening and playing and having fun. And we won 2 grams of weed. Woo, 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 woo. Enjoying your pre-roll. There's no hidden or special technique needed to enjoy your pre-roll. Just light it up correctly, and the way you would light up if you were a cigarette smoker at one time, or if you ever see someone light a cigarette up, or if you ever saw someone light a joint up, ensuring that the entire cylinder is evenly lit, or else what Mrs. Weedman taught us in the past, canoeing, and nobody likes a canoe. It's no fun. Afterwards, between your leaf, take a few puffs, puff, puff, pass, to strengthen the burn. That's all it takes, and if you can't finish your pre-roll, simply just sniff it out and save it for later. You can store it too, and in the pre-roll container that you get it in to ensure it'll keep it a little fresher for a day or two if you don't smoke at all. Or cigar tubes are great too, or airtight Ziploc bags, or Tupperware, or like I said, the 8 Decades glass jar. We'll keep that in there for you. So enjoy a pre-roll. I like them. I'm smoking one right now, as you can tell. Mrs. Weedman, you've been known to drink a Starbucks or two, or Tree.
Yeah, here and there.
Man, can you tell me a little bit about Starbucks and how cannabis is kicking its ass?
Yeah, gotta love this. Legal cannabis is outselling Starbucks. That's pretty crazy, right? There's a Starbucks, how many in each state?
Holy
right?
shit.
Well, when reports came back showing legal cannabis sales outpaced Starbucks sales in North America, it raised more than a few eyebrows. Yeah, I'd say. As we previously reported in 2021, legal cannabis sales, medical and recreational combined, were between $24.5 billion and $27 billion, while Starbucks sold a reported $20.5 billion. At first, this might come as a surprise simply because Starbucks is such a famous and successful institution, while cannabis and its dispensaries are still relatively new. These numbers are even more shocking once you remember the fact that cannabis is still illegal at a federal level, and there is a complete prohibition on its sale and consumption in more than a dozen states. How, then, did cannabis outsell the world's biggest coffee retailer, and what does this mean for the future of cannabis?
A lot.
Yeah. How about it? I think a lot of people like weed. Yeah. Americans love a good cup of joe. I'm one of them. But cannabis is what they really gravitate towards when times get a bit tough. And 2021 was a trying year, both economically and mentally for most of us. Cannabis, however, proved it is a strong product in both boom times and challenging ones. Invest in products that people will always want, in good times or bad. And when it comes to providing a product that people crave the world over, cannabis passes the test, wrote Investing Daily. Weed's ability to thrive in all economic times makes it a very marketable product. Candy, weed, and alcohol.
You've always said candy.
Invest your life away. While lockdowns and stimulus payments may have helped weed sales a bit in 2021, this growth does not appear to be a one-time thing. In fact, cannabis sales are projected to reach $33 billion in 2022, according to Fortune, which would be 32% growth from 2021. This shows cannabis on a steady growth path that may help it continue to outpace the coffee retailer and possibly other iconic companies. Could you see, like, if it outpaced McDonald's? Shoot.
Cheeseburger.
I mean, they're international. Not only are existing markets showing strong sales, but several states legalized recreational weed this year and are already reporting huge numbers. New Jersey's launch of adult use sales, expected in the second quarter, will likely cause the most substantial jump in any market in the U.S. in 2022. Jessica Lucas of cannabis data company BDSA told Forbes. BDSA is forecasting sales to increase 220% in 2022 versus 2021. The last 2 years have been tricky and uncertain times, but cannabis is growing at a steady rate. Even as state and federal lawmakers battle it out whether or not cannabis should be legalized, the cannabis industry is poised to march ahead with record gains year after year. This growth is likely only the beginning for an industry that has nowhere to go but up, which can only lead one to conclude that Americans as a whole will continue to spend more on pot than pumpkin spice lattes.
Yeah. Oof,
yeah,
gross.
I'd say. No, thank you.
I like pumpkin
coffee.
pie, but I don't like pumpkin spice latte. Tell you this, they start that too early, just like pumpkin beers too. They start that now in like August. You see them. Used to like see them like September. Now you see them like late July, early August.
I think there's like clothing now.
Oh,
it's
God.
pumpkin
Terrible.
season.
That
Like it's pumpkin spice season. It's
they
pumpkin latte.
Started way too soon. I don't want to follow.
It's always time for a pumpkin latte. I don't agree. Give me an Americano.
Oh, man. Federal cannabis arrests continue to drop amid legalization movement, new Justice Department report shows. All right, so here, while there's still 2,500 drug enforcement DEA cannabis arrests in the fiscal year of 2020, cannabis busts have been dropping 11% each year since 2010, when the DEA made 8,200 such arrests. They're still arresting people for cannabis, though. It just doesn't make any sense to me. So, but at least it's going down. Hopefully one day it gets federally legal and we get these DEAs off our ass. The New Jersey, the place I was born, sells $24 million of recreational cannabis first month. And then they always issued more licenses. You know people are coming from Philly because it's only med in Philadelphia still. So you know people from Philadelphia or people are going to Jersey. And you know people from New York because there's no place to really buy cannabis. There's no dispensaries yet, recreational dispensaries yet. So you know people are traveling down to Jersey to get their weed. Just like people coming to Illinois or Michigan. People ain't fucking stupid. You know? They're going to get their weed. They're going to get it some way, somehow. Cannabis is now legal in Rhode Island, the 19th state. Yay, Rhode Island. Yay, Rhode Island. Free the plant. Free the plant. The governor signed the bill to end prohibition, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Go Rhode Island, the 19th state to end prohibition. Good for you, Rhode Island. I'm proud of you. California cannabis retailers got 100% compliant in checking IDs to prevent youth access. Study finds. Good for you, California, for checking IDs. Illinois adult use cannabis sales decreased about 1.5% to 129.8 million. Boo-hoo. May actually was a soft month, so I mean, but they still did almost 130 mil, which was only down 1.5% from last month. So I mean, we're still trending. We're like almost $700 million right now in sales to date. Almost 700 million. That's crazy, and it's only June. Out-of-state sales actually stayed steady, and in-state sales in Illinois kind of decreased because everybody in Illinois is going to Michigan because they're tired of paying the fucking high taxes. That's what I hear from Didn't you hear that from somebody yesterday? Because, man, I go to Michigan now to buy my weed. I don't buy my weed in Illinois. Yeah. Shit's too expensive for the taxes. I was like, damn, yo, that's a fucking
Goes
awesome.
For a nice weekend drive.
Yeah, man. Why not? Get high in Michigan. I like Michigan. Illinois judge lifts, this happened a couple weeks ago, but I haven't had a chance to read it. But Illinois lifted the 185 dispensary licenses, and a lot went to social equity, which is great. So 185 licenses for dispensaries in Illinois, plus they awarded 44 new cultivator licenses. And then you had some more of the infuser licenses go out. Man, there's going to be a lot of shit going on here in Illinois real quick because I think it's like over 100 craft cultivators now that have licenses here in Illinois. They're going to start opening up here.
That's awesome.
You have like 66 infusion licenses, 51 transportation licenses. That's a lot. But we need those 185 new licenses to open up when those 100 and something craft growers open up, because I mean there's only 110 dispensaries in Illinois, so there's not enough room in a lot of these places right now for all this excess cannabis that's going to be coming their way here. There's a lot of water too that we're going to be using here in Illinois. Keep on raining. Cannabis legalization initiative approved in South Dakota ballot again. Hear that, everyone? Again. Here's the stupidest thing I've read all week, and I'm going to call her stupid because she is. Laura Ingraham, Fox News, you are a fool. You're actually saying and blaming weed for America's mass shootings. When I read this, I didn't even want to watch her speak this, but you are, as my dad called people, a gogoots. And if you don't know what a gogoots is, look it up, okay? You are a gogoots for blaming cannabis for what's going on in America right now with these mass shootings. And I pray for Texas, everybody there, everything that's been going on has been fucked up. And for you to blame weed at a time like this, you are a fucking idiot. Just wrong. Just fucking fake news, fucking telling lies media. You're terrible. How could you fucking falsely propaganda this bullshit? Oh my God. With a straight face. Like, what is wrong with you? We've been fighting for freedom to free this plant forever, and you just want to throw it out there and just ruin something that's so good. Weed has nothing to do for mass shootings. You're the one that should be blamed right now. Fucking terrible. North Carolina Senate passes medical cannabis legalization bill. Go North Carolina. Just get it to the governor's desk and sign it so I can move there and free the plant. Let people home grow. U.S. Virgin Islands governor plans cannabis legalization special session and puts expected revenue and budget. I finally got high off that. I had hit that thing like 6 times.
Now you feel it.
I'm high now. Finally, though. Fucking finally. Took 6 hits. So, really good high, though. Pretty fucking crisp and everything's bright right now. Real nice. Indiana lawmakers may study cannabis decriminalization, THC products, and summer health committee. Good for you, Indiana. You should just legalize it. Just let people home grow. Free the plant there in Indiana. You don't need the money. That's why most states are doing it, so they get that tax revenue. If you don't need the tax revenue, just free the plant, decriminalize it, let people home grow. Just as long as they're not selling it, their home grow. If they're just giving it away, let people gift it. Who cares, man? You're good. You're good. Maybe more people will come to your state. I ever hear all the time, I hate going to Indiana. I hate driving through Indiana. Afraid I'm going to get arrested in Indiana. Why would you do that to people? It's not like they're blazing joints through your fucking state. They're scared. They hide their weed going through your state. Stop arresting people for fucking cannabis and finding them. They're going to Michigan, and they're coming back to Illinois. They're not staying in your state to fucking smoke because they're afraid to. All right? So fucking chill out. Study shows cannabis makes people what, Mrs. Weedman?
Happy.
Together.
And
how
kind.
is the weather?
Well, cannabis, there's a study, right? And it says cannabis makes people better, increasing their empathy and their sense of selflessness. A new study titled Cannabis Consumption and Prosociality, Sociality, I think I'm high. You always know when the words get hard to say. It's like, whoa. I feel pretty good, though. It was published in Scientific Reports, says this is so. Researchers at the University of New Mexico analyzed the psychological characteristics of healthy college students under the influence of THC. It turns out that young adults with recent cannabis use had better scores on standardized measurements of pro-social behaviors, such as empathy and moral decision-making based on principles of securing harmlessness and a sense of fairness. The study is among the first to reveal cannabis benefits on the young adult's psychosocial functioning. It's also important to note that the research found no difference in measurements of anger, hostility, facial threat interpretation, trust of others, the 4 remaining dimensions of personality, which are extroversion, conscientiousness, emotional stability, and openness, and moral decision making. Most investigations on the effects of using cannabis have focused on either negative consequences of cannabis addiction or on the physical health effects of cannabis use, said lead investigator and assistant professor Jacob Miguel Vigil, UNM's Department of Psychology. Almost no formal scientific attention has been devoted to understanding other psychological and behavioral effects of consuming the plant, despite it being widely used throughout human history. That is so key. Almost no formal scientific attention has been devoted to understanding other psychological and behavioral effects of consuming the plant, meaning positive results, right?
Positive.
According to recent discoveries, cannabis can cause changes in egocentric concepts, increasing a sense of selflessness. What is important is that the study also revealed that these effects are temporary. The difference between cannabis users and non-users was linked to the duration of time between since the participants last consumed cannabis. Vigil concluded his study by highlighting the importance of prosociality and empathy. Prosociality is essential to society's overall cohesiveness and vitality, and therefore cannabis's effects on our interpersonal interactions may eventually prove to be even more important to societal well-being than its medicinal effects. Boom. That's a big one.
Ba-bam.
That's a big statement.
Pa-pow. Pa-pow.
Pa-pow. Prosociality. That's a big word.
I'm pretty high now.
Yeah.
I'm feeling good.
It's good.
I had to hit it a lot, but I'm nice and ripped. International news. Argentinian President Fernandez signs law regulating medical cannabis and hemp. What's next? I don't know. We'll find out. I'm so excited, though. He's amazing for doing that. It's awesome. Go Argentina. I always want to go there. Smoke weed now. Here's something really cool because I never thought I would see this happen in my lifetime. Japan considers legalizing medical cannabis and criminalizing recreational use. Does it make sense? Shouldn't say decriminalizing, right? Recreational use, not criminalizing. Could Japan be the next country in Asia to embrace medical cannabis? It's looking that way. The country's health ministry held a meeting Wednesday to negotiate the revision of the cannabis control law from 1948. The ministry is considering legalizing cannabis for medical use and adding a provision to criminalize its consumption for recreational purposes. Last June, the ministry prepared a report recommending the government allow medical cannabis based to treat refractory epilepsy, as is the case in the U.S. and other countries. Pretty cool. So I hope they do it. That'd be great. Go to Japan, smoke some weed in Japan. Ukraine war, as we all know, is still going on. It's like about over 100 days now. The supply chain woes caused cannabis fertilizer shortages and increased costs. This is crazy because Russia's a big producer of fertilizer, and so is the Ukraine. And everybody's saying there's going to be a big fertilizer shortage, not only just for cannabis, but for food too. I'm not trying to cause panic. I've read in a couple articles and I've read this. So they're saying distributors are taking place that lead to inflation, not only fertilizers, but harvested food crops and potential cannabis, said Hudson Holzer, manager of Environmental Science Group and senior pest control advisor at Urban Grow. So here's what you need to do. Start composting. Start learning how to get your own soil, because there's tons of soil in the back of your house. There's tons of soil you can get from the earth that's around. So don't panic. So you can get it. Compost, learn to compost. We heard Paulie always talks about this. We heard Tez. I got some buddies that compost. Don't panic. But there is going to be some kind of a little bit of shortage coming from the Ukraine if we get anything from over there. So just like I said, don't panic. There's always ways to figure out how to do shit and ask people that know how to do shit. In Mexico City, activists liberate 7 cannabis smoking zones. There is in front of one of the big Capitol buildings. There's a big garden, a cannabis garden, in the federal Senate among 7 locations in the Capitol where pro-pot activists established marijuana. They said marijuana cannabis tolerant zones, according to the report. So that's pretty cool. I want to go smoke at all 7 of them. I said on the 100th episode, I talked a little bit about cannabis tourism and how it's becoming a $1 billion industry, and it's just taking off. So I know Mrs. Weedman loves to talk about like going her trips, but she's a very good writer. And you wrote something on our cruise trip, didn't you? Or didn't you write something all about it on some website one time, our trip, or one of our trips we took? You wrote a little thing on Travelocity or something?
On TripAdvisor.
TripAdvisor. I thought it was really good. You wrote about our trip. It was awesome. So I gave this article to you. I knew you'd like it.
Yes, I think cannabis tourism is going to be huge, and that's what this article is about. And Mr. Weedman and I have had our own ideas about cannabis tourism and our own ideas about it and things that we could do to engage in it.
And remember what I said on the last episode, and I've said this in the past, just because you don't grow the plant in a cultivation, you don't own your own cultivator or you own your own dispensary, there is ways to make money in cannabis.
Yes. I mean, simple things like become an Airbnb host, and then your Airbnb can be cannabis friendly, so you could have a cannabis package, and when people come for that, they can specify if they're seasoned or new users, and you can have product waiting in their room for them. There's just little ways that you can tie the cannabis industry into something that is important to you.
Right.
So, with that said, this article is cannabis tourism is now a $17 billion industry, and it's just taking off. From cannabis farm tours to bud and breakfast hotels, American destinations are discovering that canna-cations aren't just for stoners anymore. Adrian, a 40-something makeup artist, grew up in the mountains of northern Georgia, a state where cannabis is still illegal. When she and her husband were planning a vacation in 2018, Adrian, who speaks with a nice southern drawl and has been smoking cannabis since she was 14, suggested that they go to California and see what it's like to buy pot legally. I had never been to a dispensary before, and I wanted a professional to bring us around so we could sit back and take in all of the knowledge, Adrian said of her experience. She booked an excursion with Emerald Farm Tours, which operates out of San Francisco and guides cannabis enthusiasts to local dispensaries and provides private tours of indoor cannabis grows in the Bay Area. Adrian spent about $1,500 on her canna-cation for a half-day tour, a good selection of pot, and a hotel room. Months later, she booked another trip with the same company, but this time she and some friends purchased the full-day excursion to visit an outdoor cannabis farm in Mendocino, 3 hours north of San Francisco. Of course, Adrian didn't have to travel all the way to America's Bud Basket in California to enjoy cannabis on vacation. As of now, 19 states and Washington, D.C. have legalized recreational cannabis, with several more states likely to join them this year. As legalization spreads, pot has also become considerably less stigmatized. More than 2/3 of American adults, that's 68%, now support adult use, according to a Harris poll fielded in May. Half of all millennials say that access to legal recreational cannabis is important when choosing a vacation destination, and more than 4 in 10 millennials say they've specifically chosen a destination because cannabis was legal there. For now, cannabis travel has been largely ignored by tourism boards and the industry, leaving millions of dollars on the table, says Victor Pino, co-founder of Emerald Farm Tours. They're tourists and they're shopping. They are here to spend money in the mecca of weed, he says, explaining how his typical customer spends $300 to $400 at the dispensary during their visit, about 3 times as much as an average transaction with locals. It's still unclear how big the cannabis tourism industry will eventually become, or what its potential economic impact on the $1.2 trillion U.S. tourism economy will be, but early data is promising. A pre-pandemic 2020 national study by market research firm MMGY Travel Intelligence found that nearly 1 in 5 American leisure travelers are interested in cannabis-related experiences on vacation. That number jumps to 62% when the survey sample is narrowed to cannabis-consuming adults over 21 with an annual household income over $50,000. Legal cannabis lifts other businesses too. Out of $25 billion in legal cannabis sales in 2021, Forbes estimated that as much as $4.5 billion was driven by tourists, who pour an additional $12.6 billion into hotels, restaurants, attractions, and other shops, as well as into state and municipality tax coffers. That's because for every dollar spent at a cannabis retailer, there's a multiplier effect, with an additional $2.80 injected into the local economy.
That's awesome.
Says Bo Whitney. Yeah, it is. Founder and chief economist at Whitney Economics, a leader in cannabis and hemp business consulting. For many destinations, that's mainly passive income with almost no local promotion. Consider Colorado, where recreational cannabis has been legal for a decade and brought in $423 million in taxes last year alone. The Colorado Tourism Office website offers little guidance for 420-friendly travelers, other than generic cannabis safety tips, legal guidelines, and other practical advice. Cannabis is not one of the major drivers in terms of tourism to our state. I don't believe that. Compared to categories like outdoor recreation, says a Colorado tourism official via email, noting that there are no statistics or reports on the volume of travel or revenue. While Colorado may not be proactively trying to attract tourists looking to experience its cannabis culture, the state's entrepreneurs are. Denver's Patterson Inn, a 9-bedroom boutique hotel located approximately 420 East 11th Street, will soon be home to the city's first licensed cannabis consumption lounge.
Hell yeah.
At a hotel.
Hell yeah.
Owner Chris Chiari says his 1,000 square foot club, which will be named the 420 Suite, will be open to paying hotel guests by the end of the year. I like to say it's Soho House with weed, says Chiari. Meanwhile, some destinations are beginning to embrace cannabis tourism. The latest research paints a portrait of the typical cannabis traveler who looks less like a stereotypical stoner and more like an upscale vacationer, one who is male or female, skewing towards millennials or younger, with a college degree, a job, and an average household income of $87,000, according to a report from the Cannabis Travel Association International, an industry trade group. By 2025, 50% of travelers in the U.S. are going to be millennials, says Brian Applegarth, the organization's founder, and their relationship to cannabis consumption is extremely normalized compared to the stigmatized industry leaders of today. Todd Aronson, CEO of Visit Modesto, the Convention and Visitors Bureau for the Agricultural Hub in California's Central Valley, agrees. Dog lovers are canna users. Foodies are canna users, he said. There's no difference between a cannabis traveler and every other traveler. Last year, Modesto partnered with Cultivar, a cannabis tourism strategy firm founded by Applegarth, to launch the Motown Canna Pass, a passport-style reward program that helps visitors discover a variety of restaurants, activities, and cannabis retailers in the area. We wanted the opportunity to say, hey, if cannabis is your thing and you're here, we have retail shops that are legal, says Aronson, and we have experiences that you can enjoy no differently than if you went to a brew pub or wine bar. They're all equally regulated. Every visitor is welcome. Aronson says the Motown Canna Pass delivered an immediate 11% boost into traffic to local cannabis retailers and also in overnight visits to Modesto. No regrets whatsoever, he says. It was a significant result. With the map of legalized cannabis in the U.S. still resembling a patchwork quilt, California has emerged as the center of cannabis tourism for now, with a handful of destinations across the Golden State recently launching their own programs, from the new Oakland Cannabis Trail, which takes visitors on an immersive journey through the city's marijuana heritage, to Greater Palm Springs, whose tourism website highlights well-being through its retailers, hotels, spas, and tours. And the Los Angeles Times recently dubbed the trendy West Hollywood neighborhood as the Amsterdam of the Far West, thanks to a high concentration of dispensaries including some backed by celebrities from Jay-Z to Woody Harrelson. So what do you need to know about tourism before you go? Well, in states where recreational cannabis is legal, the minimum age is 21. That's across the board. Every state where cannabis is legal has its own rules. Get your research done, know your rules, don't drive while you're impaired, plan ahead, use cabs, ride shares, or designated drivers. Many hotels don't allow smoking on site, while others provide designated areas. Thousands of properties on Airbnb and Bud and Breakfast currently allow on-site smoking. It is illegal to cross state lines with cannabis in your possession. Cannabis is illegal at a federal level, which means it's still illegal to bring it on a commercial flight. Some destinations don't allow out-of-state visitors to purchase medical-grade cannabis, even if you have a license in your home state, so check up on reciprocity rules before rolling up. Elsewhere in the United States, cannabis tourism programs have popped up in some surprising pockets. In the Midwest, the Michigan Cannabis Trail helps visitors make the most of legal cannabis in the Great Lakes region. And in Kentucky, where recreational cannabis remains illegal, the Hemp Highway celebrates the CBD-only crop across the bluegrass state. Looking ahead, Florida has huge potential. I'm not even going to go into this. Florida is just crazy. They just have so much coming up and happening there. And so they're saying that it could be a $3.2 billion market.
Yeah, if they go recreational, please.
Yeah. So that's what they end with, is a lot of jargon about Florida and the potential for recreational pot there. Right now, they're medical only.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting. There's a lot of us that are listening to this show and that are passionate about cannabis. So find ways to incorporate it into your travel.
Yeah, yeah. There was a quarterback who celebrated a touchdown by smoking a joint on the field, and he was cut by the controlled football league.
What was he doing smoking it on the field?
Yeah, he threw a
ballsy.
touchdown and went over by the touchdown.
wall
and lit a joint up in celebration.
Oh my gosh.
He didn't care. He was already. It's the controlled football league. It's not even the NFL or anything like that. It's nothing big. I just thought it was funny. It's a little video of him lighting the joint up. It's awesome. So, hey, everybody out there in the world. Hope you enjoyed the show. Thanks for listening out there. We really appreciate it. 101 episodes.
101. And I'm going out with a bang. I'm lighting this joint.
Line it up.
Yep.
Well, before you do that, you got anything else to say, Mrs. Weedman?
No, I got to smoke.
Got to smoke? I got to go take Yuki out. She was screaming a minute ago. It was raining, so we didn't get a chance to it was pouring, I should say, here, and we didn't get a chance to take her out before we started the show, so she's probably crossing her I's and dotting her T's.
Screaming Mimi up there.
Yeah,
she's wailing.
4 months old, Miss Yuki girl. Growing like crazy. So, hey, everybody out there in the world, we love you. Love you, love you, love you. Thanks for listening. Thanks for reaching out to us. Check out 8decades.com for everything, all of our info, all of our social media is on 8decades.com. And we thank everybody out there for buying some shit from us. We appreciate you going on 8decades.com on our website and buying some stuff that you like and what you need. And thanks for send us some pictures. And then I can put that on our social media that you're buying some stuff, and so can 8 Decades. So send us some pics of some stuff. You can email it to us or just DM us, man. Something cool. We love you all out there. As Paulie always says, smoke smart, puff puffing away.
Puff puff pass. Here's the joint.
Thank you.